Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Master Division with the tournament win for the qualifying round in the Bier Fest Tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. You can get ultimate tournament guides for Pro, Expert and our Master by going to Patreon. Link to Patreon and our guides is directly in the description down below. As always, we do have an info box on the right hand side for you to follow along with the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also a ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow what I do suggest, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 1, and we're gonna play with the rock here from absolute max line with the white rain to the rough by the right side. 4 left spin, and we're gonna play 3.7 top spin here. Is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna then play an adjustment that's gonna be max plus 20. So we're gonna change to that in the info box. So max plus 20 is what we're gonna do here. So once we do have adjusted, and you can see here now that we do have a slight tailwind. So I would say like this, it's better to have a 1201 than it is to have an 1159. But if you do have a straight pull or just a flick to 1159 or 1201, that's obviously fine. But try to favor 1201 if anything. 0.8 ball of left curl, and we're gonna try to hit perfect. At a great right could, if being very unlucky, get the ball to roll into the rough, but with a perfect and a great left you will still be fine. I would say the majority of the time with a great right will still be fine as well. It's just something to have in mind. 383 yards, that's absolutely perfect, because now we're gonna play with a B52. And before we do that, I'm just gonna answer why do I go with a B52 with a sniper here in Master. It's because the perfect rate on a long iron compared to a wood club is so much higher with a long iron then. And that's why our main focus is to play with a long iron as first go. We will have an option for sniper as well for those that do want to take a little bit easier drive, but at the same time we do believe that the long iron play here is absolutely money, but also going to be a little bit tougher drive. 3 backspin, 1 left spin here. And now we're gonna apply 40% elevation, and we're gonna have 50% slider from +0, which is just before +1. Top of the red ring by the fringe, which is very important, because if you don't have that, you will have a different distance towards the pin, and that will all affect the outcome. So, and that's obviously would be the same for the sniper, so that wouldn't be a difference there either. Center the ball and try to hit perfect. And if you do hit perfect with the suggested slider, this ball is going to drop. That it has shown to do, it has shown to do of the reports that we've had in the team, but also in the Telegram chats. So hole number 1, I will show you the B52 shot here. And I would say for those of you that do play with a Grizzly, if you do play with a Grizzly of a 9, the only thing that you will have to do here is to play with B52 numbers in the app. So instead of calculating the rings for Grizzly, you put the B52 level 7 or level 8 in your app, and you adjust those rings while playing with the Grizzly. Sounds weird, but it works. So please do that if you are a Grizzly person. For hole number 2, we do have a money shot for you, and that's because the massive funnel that we're gonna play into. So I want to start with 0.8 top spin and 0.3 bars of left spin. Then I'm going to look to find the top left of the red ring by the leaf, and then the yellow ring to the right by the rough line. I correct myself, the top of the red ring by the bush, not the leaves. So, ball guideline should be to the hole, that's very important. And you will notice that there is a glitch where we do aim. Make sure to just move around slightly, either a little bit up or a little bit down, to make sure you're not in the glitch. You do want to have the ball guideline to the hole. It's not as hard to find as it may look. Adjustment, maximum distance, -5%, power 3 ball settings. and then try to hit perfect. With a perfect ball here, regardless what wind angle you're gonna have, I have big belief in this ball to drop. A great right has been safe. I hit great right deliberately 2 times to make sure that we can hit a great right with the correct adjustment and still clip the rough and not roll into the rough or sand at the back of the green. So again, hole number 2, very, very good chance. Make sure to hit perfect and have some fun. For hole number 3, we're gonna play a no movement drive here, and our goal here is to get the ball to be very close to the green area. So no movement, don't touch the target until it's time to adjust the rings. And we're gonna play max and no elevation power 3 ball settings. Now you can see that I do play with a spirit ball, and the big top ball will also be a possibility if the wind is at least 15 miles per hour. I'm gonna tell you a little advice for those that don't have spirit balls, where you can play with a palm ball or with, in that case, the owl ball instead. Max topspin, you can see for 17.5 miles per hour. We're gonna take a sneak peek here on how much we push up. We should be pushing up to plus 11, to the top of plus 11 with 17.5. And a great left here is actually better than a great right. It catches the bounces better, and it also in that case makes sure that we do bounce over the light part of a rough, or not the light part but the smaller part of the rough. Why not then move more to the left then? It's because then our great left will go into the bunker, and we want to take the bunker completely out of the equation, as we would rather have obviously a wedge. But as a worst case scenario, we want to clip the rough and roll out for a short iron to pin. So if we do have a wedge, we're gonna play 20% elevation EB school method. So make sure to stretch out to check where your max range are, so you can then judge the distance. And once you have done that, you shall obviously have the ball guideline to the hole, and here we don't go with any type of spin whatsoever. Adjustment is going to be made, and now let's talk about what to do when it comes to having an owl ball, for an example. Apocalypse level 7 and Apocalypse level 6. If you would be playing with an owl ball, go based on the push-up table like that we will be having, but for the sake of the example, plus 11 for 17.5. As the owl ball only have 4 topspin boost, as the spirit has 5, then we would recommend in that case to push up 2 extra yards. So for in that matter, 17.5 would be plus 13 yard mark instead. So just add the 2 yards to the table. For those of you that do play with Apocalypse level 5 or level 6, will most likely clip the rough all the time, even with a spirit ball in this case, but it's still worth to play this type of shot, as having to lay up before the rough, it's not going to be well. So when it comes to Apocalypse level 6, I would there also suggest to push up 2 yards extra than what I've already explained. So 17.5 is plus 13. Apocalypse level 5, I would go max, basically regardless what wind strength I'm having, to make sure that I'm gonna get all the distance towards the first bounce. So hole number 3, let's take a look at the short iron as well. The short iron is a great ball, so it's not gonna drop, but we do have a slider presented for you. You can see that I'm checking the top of the back fringe. You can see that they plus 2, and from plus 2 we do estimate to be played 47% slider with 10% elevation power 3 ball settings with Falcon 8 and Thorn level 9. 2 backspin ball guideline to hole. What we would say as well, that if you would be dropping down into the bunker, which could happen if you do have a high wind, such as an 18, 19 mile per hour wind, then you could add just a click of overpower to make sure that we're not gonna fall short. We will most likely otherwise over adjust our shot if we're not adding that click of overpower, because we fall further down from where we intended to aim, and then that will obviously affect the shot. Now we're just on the edge, so I'm not making any changes. Unfortunately, once again, a great ball with a perfect with the suggested slider, as the slider is tweaked, will most likely be a drop. So in the end, a lot of things to think about on hole number 3, but it's definitely going to be a very good chance for an albatross. For hole number 4, I want you to start with a power 0 ball. Doesn't matter what power 0 ball it is, just that we can find max distance line with blue ring by the rough line. That is super duper important to find the correct landing position. Then once after that you change to whatever win 5 ball that gives you side spin 4 together with win 5 obviously. 4 backspin, 4 right spin, so very simple when it comes to the spin setups. And then we're gonna adjust max and no elevation power 1 ball settings. This is somewhat in between angle, like with a little bit of tailwind. Obviously the more crosswind we have, the more adjustment we need to do, because the wind will then push the ball more left. So if we don't compensate for that, we will most likely then miss left. That's the same if you do have more tailwind than what we do have here, and we adjust as we do, we'll most likely miss right. So you need to make those tweaks. And after having trying the rough bump a couple of times and the right side a couple of times, I did stay on the left side and felt that brings the most consistency for me on this par 3. Hole number 5, I'm gonna move directly out into the rough here. I'm looking to be just at the top of those orange leaves that you can find there inside the rough. You know, take a screenshot so it will be easier for you to follow. That mark is gonna be for 12 miles per hour. So as you can see there, I'm not making any adjustment either left or right with the 12.1 miles per hour wind. Max topspin, regardless of what club you're having, Apocalypse 5, 6, 7, or 8. And we're gonna go max overpower with no curl, but we're gonna release for a power hook. We're gonna take that drive again because it went pretty quick. You may be wondering then, will Apocalypse level 5 and 6 make it? In our testing it has, but you will obviously have to be a little bit lucky. You could, with a very bad bounce, get stuck into the rough there on that hill when it falls down, but that was actually less attempts than was rolling down, because that rough is actually very friendly to have the ball rolling down the hill. 1.5 bars of backspin is played as well, and you can see there as well, if we would be getting a glitch roll, we may be going into the bunker as well. But in the end, the most times we had here, we went down onto the fairway, and it's unfortunately not possible to design this shot when there are so many variables involved to get to stay on the fairway. Second shot, we're gonna play an EB school method here. So you can see here that I'm checking my club distance, and we're gonna play this one with no spin. And then we're going to then adjust. So in this video, I do play with 80% slider with 60% elevation. And the reason I don't have the number 60 listed is due to the fact that I don't have that number made up as a, written number here for the screen layout. So 60% elevation, power 5 ball settings, and EB school method. Obviously you can use max topspin if you like, but on this hole in particular, max topspin here will make that ball guideline be very glitchy in my opinion. So we hit perfect, right that pin for a beautiful hole in one, sorry, not hole in one, but beautiful eagle on hole number 5. Hole number 6 is an old play of mine. This is a very common wind, it seems like, for hole number 6. And I'm not complaining. This is actually much more fun than to play into a headwind. Max topspin with Thor's hammer with an NMT adjustment. So no movement, don't touch the target until it's time to adjust the rings. Max plus a 20, and obviously we're going to change the club that is displayed as well, as we're going to play with Thor's hammer on this shot all the time. Pay close attention to how many rings in the overpower you go into, because that will all be included then into your overpower amount that you're gonna do. So for an example, if I do adjust 1 ring into overpower with my adjustment, I will then add, let's take a look so we do get the correct one here. We will add 2 rings extra with Thor's hammer level 8. We will add 3 rings extra for Thor's hammer level 7 and 4 rings extra for Thor's hammer level 6. Great left, great right will still be fine, as we do have a lot of room. Second shot, we're gonna play with a sniper. Here I do make a mistake, which is that I do take off to the adjustment, which I shouldn't. But what I do here now to try to find a consistent line here, because we do need to offset, and I don't like offset because it's harder to know if we have the ball guideline on exactly the same place. So what I'm doing here is that I'm taking the blue ring by the rough line with ball guideline to hole with spin. Then I do reduce to make sure to have the ball guideline 2.5 green squares short of pin after that. And then the Spartan ball is perfect because it doesn't have any side spin, so I'm not getting any accidental side spin. Here I should have adjusted 6.2, but I'm adjusting a very, very light 6.1, almost closer to 6 rings, which obviously is not the correct adjustment that you should do. So minus 10% elevation, and we should be playing 62% slider based off the plus 8-yard mark that we are in, power 4 ball number. Speed is perfect, but it's just the direction that is not superb. But in the end, with the suggested slider, I do believe this is going to be a good chance for an albatross. Hole number 7, and we're going to play a no movement here, which means that you shall not touch your target until it's time to adjust the rings, and no spins whatsoever. So this is a very, very simple adjustment. Here we're gonna play maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, power 2 ball setting. So even if we play with a power 1 ball, we're still gonna use a power 2 ball settings. You can use whatever wind fireball here you want to spend. Doesn't have to be a Kraken here, but as I do have loads of them and very rarely use it, so I decided to use that one here. So I bounce on the hill there, and then it takes the curve and rolls right at pin for a beautiful hole-in-one. I did this 4 times in a row. However, though, this was all with the same wind angle, so to get some little wind angle tweaks, we need some additional testing. So again, very good chance on hole number 7, which is a tough par 3. Hole number 8, and we're gonna go for green here. We're gonna use a luminary, and we're gonna use an apocalypse level 5+. So with apocalypse level 8, we start with the white ring to the right by the rough line. Once we find that, we're gonna adjust max plus 50. You may be wondering, why do I adjust so much? It's because I have to move my target more right or more left, because I don't want to aim just in the center of the fairway, because that will make it very tough for me to find a consistent landing spot. So that's why I'm moving more to the right and increasing the adjustment. So once we have adjusted max plus 50, we add 4.5 backspin and 2 left spin, which is the same amount that is max backspin with apocalypse level 5. Max overpower with a slow needle and max left curl, and you will be on green with a perfect or with a great left. Great right will most likely be on fringe, so have that in mind. What I would like to say though, for those of you that do want to push a little bit harder for the hole-in-one, increase with 1 backspin bar more to 5.5 backspin instead, and then you will have the possibility to push for the hole-in-one, because the more backspin, the more the ball with, once it hits the ground, it will be pushed more left. So that's why the more backspin will help you in that way. But we wanted to design a shot for you to be able to follow with apocalypse level 5 to make it a consistent way of getting the eagle every single time. Hole number 9, and this is going to be a very good chance for an albatross here, and I'm gonna talk you through it here. Start with the rock at max distance, red ring by the rough line, 3 top, 4 left spin, and we play with a Kingslayer here. Obviously you can play with rock and roll ball if you want to as well, if you want more wind resistance, but I would say it doesn't really need it here. So a Kingslayer is definitely perfect. Max plus 15, a power 3 ball settings, and we adjust with half a ring of curl to the left, not half a ring, but half a ball curl to the left. Ball will bounce on the fairway and will get up to around 360, or at least that's what we're aiming for. Once getting there, we should be prepared to play with our sniper. So we're gonna do one thing directly, is to go with the left side of the white ring by the rough line with top of the red ring by the edge of the shadow. Once we find that spot, we shall play with 3.8 topspin always, with spins like side spin that get the ball guideline to curve down there by that dark green square row. Basically, just ball guideline just left of the cup. Once we have done that, we shall then adjust. So from +9, we're actually gonna play -20% elevation, 68% slider with power 2 ball settings. Sounds maybe weird that we're gonna do such a massive under adjustment, but you can see how much uphill it is here, where we do have all this hill to cover. So this is definitely going to be something we need to do, otherwise we're gonna miss miles. And you can see as well, even though we play -20 here, we still have the ball coming in right side of the pin, and that's all calculated for. It goes up the hill, and then it's gonna fall down, and now as it's lagging, you're gonna see the ball then go directly in the hole for an albatross. It felt weird, but at the same time though, it's a nice shot. The ball guideline will go on the right side up the hill to fall down for an albatross here on hole number 9. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Master Division with the tournament win here for the Bier Fest Tournament in Golf Clash the Game. Make sure to get the best guides on the market for Pro, Expert and Master by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Link to Patreon and our guides is directly in the description down below. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Thank you once again for watching and good luck in your Golf Clash game.